Folks, you've got to pay attention because gun grabbers are trying anything they can to get in the way of gun sales. We'll talk about this insidious credit card monitoring report that might be coming your way in just a minute. But first, let me remind you we have a gun giveaway going on. It's happening right now. It's absolutely free, but it ends really soon. All you got to do is click the link down below to learn which brand new gun you could win.
Have a code that's attached to credit card transactions at movie theaters, bike stores, hair salons, but up until now, not for gun stores. But that's about to change as a result of a breakthrough decision.
All right, so up until very recently, you didn't have to worry about the fact that if you used your credit card to buy a gun, that wouldn't get reported to anybody. But there's a bank out there right now. It's called Amalgamated Bank, and they're working really hard to add a new code to credit card transactions to show when you use your credit card at a gun store or sports shop or someplace that sells guns or ammo or body armor or something like that.
And so we talked about this idea on the air about a new merchant category code for gun stores. Well, Amalgamated Bank has spent the past year behind the scenes and made a formal proposal to do it. And this year, it happened on Friday after a fierce battle. They received a letter confirming the International Standards Organization voted in favor to create a special code for gun stores. Visa and MasterCard saying they will implement that code over the weekend.
This is ostensibly, as they claim, an opportunity to reduce mass shootings by flagging someone who buys a firearm, because they pointed out that the shooter at Uvalde bought his gun using a debit card. Oh no, he used his own money with a debit card to go buy a gun.
There's some form of tracking that needs to go on, because what you want is those suspicious patterns, buying patterns, to be identified in advance and for somebody to get a phone call.
What they're saying is that when you use your credit card at a place that sells guns, it will tag the transaction and it will let authorities know that you're shopping for firearms. Now, how could this be used against gun owners? Well, maybe the credit card companies get pressure not to do business with anybody who carries that code. So then they just take away your ability to use your credit card to buy guns or ammo. Right now, they already say you can't use your credit card to buy lottery tickets to make sure that you don't overextend and go into debt buying lottery tickets. So is that the right thing to do? Is that the way you want? It's not even the government now. It's the banking industry controlling what you get to buy, controlling what they tell the government when you make a purchase. So this Amalgamated Bank has already reached out to the ISO, the International Standards Organization, to try to set up these standard codes.
Once these algorithms are created and we detect that suspicious activity has occurred, it is incumbent upon us. It is our obligation as a financial services firm to make sure that that activity is not happening on our rails. So we report to FinCEN.
Stop and think about what this means. That now the banking industry gets to gather up that information. I'm certain that they have it anyway in some other form, but this just makes it easier. They're going to attach a code to whether or not you shop at a gun store or a place that sells guns and ammunition. And then they can flag the authorities and say, you know what? Bob over here in Terre Haute, Indiana, just bought an AR-15 and 500 rounds of ammunition. Well, the media calls that an arsenal. I call that a good weekend of shooting. So what are we going to be dealing with then? You know, after we buy a gun, do we get a knock on our door saying, hey, we just noticed you use your credit card to buy a gun. We'd like to ask you some questions. To me, that violates the Fourth Amendment. I'm not committing a crime. It's perfectly legal for me to buy a gun. But now the banking industry gets to decide where that information goes. And eventually, you know it's going to go that direction. They're going to control who they do business with, and they're going to push the gun sellers out of this category. And right now, all of us are using our debit cards and our credit cards because it's convenient. We're getting away from cash in our society. Who carries cash anymore, right? It's just so much easier to carry your card. But think about this. Just takes a flip of a switch, just a few keystrokes for them to shut off your card, and you have no access to your money. If they decide that you're making too many purchases at gun stores, they can shut down your card. They can call the authorities and tell them to come to your house and ask you questions. You've not broken any laws. But the banking industry, with support of an anti-gun group called Guns Down America, is deciding that they want to get involved now in your personal finances. This is just flatly wrong. And I don't know who you get to call at any of the credit card companies to argue against this, but certainly you'd have to press 1 to get an operator or something like that. But maybe it's time to reach out to our elected representatives and say, hey, keep your nose out of our banking business. We don't need this. We don't want this. This is just another opportunity to chip away at Second Amendment rights. It causes a chilling effect for people who want to buy firearms, for people who want to sell firearms. It's another hurdle. It's just another barrier to entry, another barrier to buy guns that politicians and now the banking industry and these anti-gun groups just keep thinking if they can add one more thing, just make it difficult, one more difficult step, one more hurdle for you to climb over, that people will just stop buying guns and the problem as they see it will just disappear. Well, we need to make sure we're fighting back against stuff. And the only way we can do that is if we know it's happening. So pay attention out there, folks. This stuff is coming down the pike. First, it's banking. First, it's a code on your credit card transactions. Then next thing you know, your credit card is locked. Then next thing you know, cops are at your house asking you about how come you bought a gun or how come you bought X amount of ammo. Do you need that much ammo? Do you have a gun that shoots that caliber of ammo? This is just more information gathering. And truly, I've said it before, sometimes in jest, Big Brother is out there watching. It's not Big Brother anymore. It's just big tech. It's the banking industry. It's the people who want us to give up our guns. And we got to not do that. We got to fight back against this stuff, folks. And the best way to do that is to know it's coming, pay attention, and reach out to your elected representatives. You're pulled over by the police and you're carrying concealed. Do you need to do anything special in this scenario? Like tell the officer you have a gun. Click this video right next to me and I'll break down that scenario step by step on what you should do.